This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
Good morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Break with me, Marie. Today I'm joined by Zoe and we're going to be talking about yoga and all the little things that you could bring into your day to improve your well-being.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Oh, hi and good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well on this Monday morning. A little bit grey here, but it's been a beautiful weekend, so I hope you're all good. So this morning, I am joined by Zoe, and as I said in the intro, we're going to talk about all things yoga and well-being, and maybe just bring a little calm to your morning. So hi, Zoe.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And so I just thought, how about we start with just a little bit of an introduction and just tell me a little bit about how you came to yoga yourself and how you became an instructor.
So this journey of love started after I had my second daughter in 2009, and I was looking for a gentle way, quote unquote, to get back into some exercise. So I started to do yoga balance, which was at my sports centre, and that was a mixture of yoga, Tai Chi and Pilates. And I loved the combination. It was beautiful, but I felt that there was something more with yoga that I wanted to investigate. So I found a private yoga teacher and joined her class. And on my first class, I remember going in very scared, very nervous. And I went straight to the back of the class in the dark corner and rolled out my mat and just sat and watched and took part. And I found something so much deeper other than just stretching. Yep. It wasn't exercise. It was more of an inward journey that I found a profound sense of healing and calm, and absolutely fell in love with the practice.
Oh, I mean, I think that's what we would all like to seek, isn't it? A profound sense of calm. And I think particularly people working in education, and young people and children in schools. I mean, I think it would be safe to say that a lot of people do not have a profound sense of calm now. I think I will share some of what you said. I mean, obviously it was you that introduced me to yoga, but I feel very similar. I think for a long time I was quite sceptical about yoga and thought, oh, well, I don't think it's going to do anything for me. I don't think I'll be able to switch off. And so on. And obviously we'll come on to some myths and things in a bit, but I was the same. But then having done it probably once or twice, total convert. You converted me because it did give me a sense of calm. And I think, I mean, this might be something that you'll talk about in a bit anyway, but I know for me, just practicing literally 10 minutes a day, it's almost like muscle memory during the day then. So if we go into periods of stress or anxiety, I find it now much simpler, much quicker to be able to sort of bring it back down. And I guess that's kind of the skills that we want to be teaching people.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, we've got a train going past.
Calm. Absolutely, it is a practice. And it's just so wonderful that you found that and that you can start the day that way. For me, it's definitely breath work. I'm a naturally anxious person, and I have found that breath work first thing in the morning is absolutely super for me to begin the day. But also it's a wonderful way for me to end the day as well. So although I do incorporate a few stretches just to get my body settled and ready to sit down quietly. And then I can go into my practice, my pranayama practice or my conscious breathing with control practice. It does allow me to let the day go. But equally it is there for a morning practice, and it can energize as well. And as you said, it's that muscle memory of the brain, the neuroplasticity. We're able to remember that safe space that we've created ourselves, that soothing environment that we've created without needing anything else around us. And we can use that in times of need, whether it's before an exam, if you are a student, or if you're overwhelmed with workload, then equally it's an extra practice for you to find some calm and just buffer those stressful times.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's the thing that's so interesting. Although it's coming under, it is yoga, and what you do is yoga, but a lot of those things that you were just mentioning, really you could just take those, couldn't you? You could just take those little things as standalone. A lot of students with anxiety, a lot of people with anxiety, or just feeling stress, and I guess physiologically, breath work is going to bring down your body's response to stress, isn't it? So, anyone who perhaps like me in the past is skeptical, really, you could just consider bringing in some breath work. It's really it's only a little bit more, isn't it, than sitting in your car and going, right, deep breath, I'm going to do this, I can do this. That really is meditation and mindfulness and yoga, but without maybe knowing it.
Absolutely. It is definitely, like you say, just sitting in your car, but equally at the end of the day, when you do sit down into your chair, you just have that outward, your day is done, you're letting it go. And that's actually, the exhalation is actually the important bit, where we're able to actually calm our heart rate, calm our blood pressure, reduce our blood pressure rather, and we're able to alter the state of the mind, and we can start to create an awareness of what's going on maybe in the mind, so that then we can focus on the breathing and actually again reduce that stress level, that stress response, into a more natural, calm state of being.
So is that so I think when I was reading a bit about it, is that cortisol? Is that right? I think
it's
the stress response is cortisol. So I didn't realise that either. So it's actually the exhalation that releases that and brings that down.
Yeah.
So literally a sigh of relief.
Yes, absolutely. It really is,
Because
really
it is that feeling, isn't it, of just, I've done it. I know something I found quite good to bring in was just consciousness of my posture, because I know I don't know if anyone else finds this, but if I'm stressed, my shoulders creep right up to my ears. And it can actually be quite, another train. It can actually be quite painful when you realise and you drop your shoulders and relax. So I think anything, when you're talking about bringing those routines of morning, setting yourself up for the day, and then evening, that letting go of that stress, and lowering your cortisol, and perhaps relaxing your muscles a bit. It's got to help, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's probably 5 minutes out of your day if you built it in as a routine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew that we'd have a lot to talk about with yoga, but that is, that's given us a bit of an introduction about how you came into it, and then obviously you trained as a yoga teacher, and now part of what you do, as well as working in a college, you do yoga with the students and the staff.
I do, and I love it. I love it. It's been a fantastic journey, and it's just been amazing to watch the people who come in stressed or wired. After time, you can see them go through the process on their mat at that time, and then that little smile on their face when they've got their hand on their belly and they're focusing on their breathing. And a moment ago you just said as well about saying letting go with that exhale, and it's actually having that awareness that you are letting go, which I think allows you to have that power. And so for the students, I think that it's just imperative to learn that you can take your control back by letting go of the breath, just releasing any tension. And like you say, shoulders are really, really key. And we can also experience this at nighttime as well. when we're sleeping, if we haven't necessarily processed what we're dealing with on the day, we take that into our sleep. And so then you can have a tightness in the morning and around your neck, maybe your jaw's sore because you've been clenching your teeth or you've been grinding your teeth. That can also have an impact. So it is just learning how to release the muscle tension and how to release that out breath, so that you're able to just function happily. Having that heightened awareness, I think.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things that you've mentioned, I think are very common, aren't they? Very commonly felt things when you wake up and you go, oh, what have I done? Have I pricked my neck in the night? Or people that grind their teeth, and it's very painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tension headaches and all of those. I think, sadly, all of those people are just living with them. I do that when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I think those are really quite, and let alone all the symptoms of anxiety and how that feels in the body. So I think it would be really useful. I know, like when we, perhaps when you've started yoga or suggested yoga, and I am going to say sometimes people say this to me as well. Now they're like, oh no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So I thought, shall we talk about some of the myths about yoga that surround yoga, just to kind of go through those?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, everybody knows how much the internet has just absolutely taken over, and you've got screens and images in your face all the time. But we do have those very, very tiny size 6 women in bikinis doing handstands on beaches. And I feel that is it's a beautiful picture, and well done you, but that's really not a clear representation of yoga. And it can make people fearful and compare themselves body image as well, etc. And if they think that they don't look like that, then they think that they can't do yoga, and there's no way I could do a handstand either. Total misconception. Yoga really is about mind-body connection. It's about going through a series of postures just to relax the body, and then breathing to relax the mind. And we want to be able to do that as a process so that it enables us to actually sit down and relax and maybe come into a meditation or a relaxation, and understand the importance of that in our lives as well. When everything is very, very busy, very overwhelming on occasions, it's important to understand that the relaxation is everything.
Yeah, that I think for me is a really interesting mindset. I mean, there's a few things kind of in what you said. I mean, one, that body image thing. I mean, we are in a time, aren't we, where social media has such an influence over, I was going to say young people, but it's probably not just young people. As much as we know the theory, I think that, what you see isn't always the full picture. Filters and Instagram versus real life and so on. I think there is still a reaction in people. I know there is in me when you look at something and you go, oh gosh, I am nothing like that. And like you said, there are some very, very lovely, very lovely yogis, and doing it on the beach and all of those kind of things is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. But that is not the only way to do it, is it?
No, that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about.
And I think that almost it is changing a mindset, because there is not a competitive element either to yoga. Like you said, it's the practice and it's the relaxation. And I think for me, I feel like it's connecting kind of to myself with the world around me, but it's not competitive. So if you were in a group, say, for example, or you're following a tutorial or something like that, it's not the kind of, oh gosh, I can't stretch that far, I can't do that position, and that kind of thing. I mean, there's pretty cool stuff you can learn as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, amazing.
But it's not a competitive sport.
No, and also equally, you don't want to compete with yourself.
No.
Because I think when you're at school, there's an awful lot, or there can be, pressure to be competitive with your peers, but also to compete with yourself to be better than yesterday,
Yes.
which I think you do find that out on your mat, absolutely, because it's not about the pose, it's not about the posture.
Yeah.
As long as you have an awareness and you're listening to your body and you're being safe in your body, and you can feel something completely different when you stretch that side and stretch out your chair seat that you've been in for the day, maybe. But it's not a sport as such. It's more a work inwards as opposed to a workout.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, work inwards rather than a workout. That's really good. That's really interesting. Although I would say as well, isn't there? I mean, some of them, if somebody was looking for that kind of thing, you can definitely do that as well, can't you?
Or the hot room, or there's lots of lovely.
Definitely, sort of accidentally gone on one that was a little bit, maybe more than I thought it was going to be, and then halfway through, I'm like, oh, gosh, that's hard work. I think I did a couple of. They had a series on, I think it might have been on YouTube or something. No, Netflix. They had a series on Netflix, and I think it was Nike.
Okay.
And those were really and they were really good because they were sort of 20 minutes a day. It was like a program, and I did them in the summer holidays to try and do something at lunchtime, sort of work. Because I found, any other people, educators out there, during the term, you move a lot, you're always sort of dealing with things and around other people. And then suddenly in the summer, I was working from home and balancing sort of, childcare and things like that as well. And I realised that actually I wasn't moving very much, and it definitely had an impact on me. So anyway, long story, but I was doing these 20 minutes at lunchtime. But they were really hard.
Well done, though. That's really good. Yeah, to go from you're more of a hacker. To quicker flow.
Cool. Yeah, but. Maybe don't start with those if you're looking for a work inward, not a workout. Maybe not those ones.
And also there's also chair yoga. So when you are in the office or you are teaching or in between classes, even involving your students to have a little twist or lean forward or a little arch through your back, just to move around the energy and just to wake up the body again for the rest of the day, but just to get out of that posture of leaning over the laptop or leaning over the desk writing, and there's
it's not that different, is it, than sort of taking a movement break or things like that. I think some of the ones I've done as well, you can do, this is just literally by sort of searching them up on YouTube, but you can do them for specific things. So yoga for anxiety for that day, or yoga for a headache, or yoga for lower back pain, or all of those kind of things. You can you can use it quite prescriptively, almost
how you want for that time.
Okay, have we got any other misconceptions that people have?
I suppose we lots of people would say, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible.
We've actually heard that.
And that's understandable, again, with media of people bending and folding into boxes and things, but that is definitely a byproduct of yoga. The flexibility is not something that you need to attend a class. This is something that's gained after a couple of weeks of practicing, and you will get more strengthening, you will get more stretching out of it, but you will also have a heightened awareness on how the mind and the quality of thoughts can affect your breathing and your state of well-being. But the flexibility is something that definitely comes, but you really don't need that to start yoga at all. I wasn't flexible. I just had my baby, so everything was very different. You don't need to be flexible, and you don't have to be a girl either. Men are, again, I think there's so many different brands, and they can be quite expensive as well, and maybe put people off and make them think, well, I don't have the right gear, or maybe men are thinking, oh no, well, it's all women in leggings and ponytails kind of thing, and that's not the case at all. It's a real mixture. Have a body, do yoga, and you just feel better when you start moving. So yeah, I think there's quite a few different misconceptions, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is some sort of gender stereotypes within that, isn't there, as well? That sort of perception of it. But you're right. There's no reason why it would be,
and also it complements as well. So if you have anybody who's weightlifting or swimming or cycling, yoga is actually a really nice complement to help strengthen and also prevent any injuries as well.
And probably performance related as well, isn't it? I think, sort of sports psychology wise.
Yes, absolutely, especially the meditation and the manifesting and
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So there we go, guys. Anyone listening? don't it's not all women.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to give it a try. Okay. And have you got any others? A misconception? I'm trying to think of anything that I've heard.
Maybe that it's thought that yoga is a religious practice.
Yes. Yeah.
Which it isn't at all. It's linked to Buddhism and Hinduism, but ultimately it is a philosophy and it's a lifestyle practice. So yoga helps to prevent ill health because it gives you, healthy choices to make in life as you go through. So maybe you might even just start drinking a little bit more water because that might help stop a headache. Or maybe instead of, I'm going to mention sugar donuts, which I love sugar donuts, but instead of that, sometimes maybe just go for the fruit and just have your treat differently and not have maybe over-processed foods and things like that. So it is a lifestyle and how you view, like you said earlier, yourself and how you are in the world and how you can be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that's true. I did notice it sort of when you're in a routine, or perhaps when things, life happens and you get a bit out of the routine. And I would say, yes, for me, if I'm not in a particularly good structure or routine, it's much easier to drink too much coffee, choose something that's going to give me a quick sugar rush in the afternoon, that kind of thing. Whereas, when you're prioritizing your well-being, then the knock-on effect is you make better choices, I think, through the day, don't you? And also there's a little element of, I've been working really hard to kind of be healthier. So do I really want that donut?
Yeah,
I do actually
sometimes.
I really want a donut now. No. So I think there's something in that, isn't there? When you're addressing your well-being in different areas of your life, I guess you're much more likely then to make better choices. I think one of the things that we were talking about earlier was sleep, wasn't it? If you were sleeping better from perhaps doing relaxation in the evening, it's just also interconnected, isn't it? Because I think I've met that there's a big connection between lack of sleep and perhaps reaching for slightly more processed food and things like that. And I think actually your metabolism's affected, isn't it, if you're not getting enough sleep? So it is a vicious circle. And if you sort of start making these changes and you are drinking more water and relaxing and sleeping better, then it builds, doesn't it?
That's right.
Absolutely builds.
Teaching is a rewarding profession, but it comes with its fair share of challenges. That's where ADAPT come in. We're not your typical trade union, but instead a modern, apolitical alternative, offering expert legal, employment and mental health support. Protection without the politics. So what makes ADAPT different? We're always apolitical and independent, specialised solely in supporting individual teachers. Our caseworkers are professionally qualified, ensuring you always get the best advice. Plus, there's 24/7 mental health support. Whether it's a simple contract check or handling serious allegations, ADAPT are here for you. Join the thousands of educators who've chosen ADAPT to protect their careers. Subscribe at adapt.org.uk today. ADAPT. Supporting school staff. Protecting careers.
So what I'd really like to hear about now, and I think is so interesting, is just talking now about your sort of experience of delivery or teaching yoga or helping young people and students and children and the staff, as I said, but bringing it into an education setting and kind of how that's worked and what sort of things you've seen.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic experience and I've really enjoyed it. I've met some amazing characters. And I think there is, those misconceptions that we've said, and probably more so with young people. But they have, I think, really liked the calm environment that we've set up. So, I just set the area or the space up so that we have some crystals, so that we have some essential oils. I know there's some students that really love those, but also the lighting. And it's not always an option to have a candle as such. So if it was fairy lights or just something just to alter the mood, change the energy in the room. And so it's quite interesting to see if they've come bounding in and they're quite wired because they've had a really exciting morning, or maybe something's happened with a peer and you never really know what somebody's bringing to the mat, what they've experienced to get to that point. So I think to have that calm and inviting, warm, safe environment, I've really liked that. And obviously with some music as well, it just sounds like a really nice environment. And sometimes it's easy to get them onto the mat, sometimes not so, but they like to talk and have fun between them until the class really gets going. And I have found the ones that have stayed continuously have just been fantastic, how they've really grown in terms of, I feel for me that they are comfortable with silence.
Yes.
And even if that is, there's one person in particular, there's two people actually in particular I can really think of. If you say that you're going to ground down and connect down to the earth, and you're going to bring a hand to your belly, and then you'll close your eyes and focus on your breathing, just to see peace on their face.
Yeah.
That's like job done. I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy with that because, if there's challenges or anxieties or depression or whatever they're dealing with at the time, when they look so peaceful, I'm hoping that's a real reflection of what's going on inside.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because I guess you have the, the privilege, I suppose, of us being in front of them and seeing them. And then you can see that drop in them because, it's a complete, it is reflected in their body language, isn't it? And I think the most valuable or beautiful thing that I can think of it is there's so much trust.
Yeah.
They have developed so much trust in with you, because if you think, I mean, not just the students here, but all students or teenagers or something, like you said, they come rushing into the room, or they're like, oh no, I'm not doing yoga or whatever, and they, sorry, and then they come into the room, and I think it's so clever. I mean, you have set such a beautiful environment, and it is very much, I think that works with young people, that when you come in and it's very obvious from the scene setting, the atmosphere and the changes to the environment of what the purpose of that is. So in the same way perhaps that teachers do pay attention to their classroom environments, and it's very obvious it's a learning place. Whether it's the displays on the wall, or teachers do put a lot of effort into making their classrooms places of learning. Whereas what you're setting up, and they come into the room and it is relaxation, and it's guards dropped, and the focus is purely on well-being, isn't it?
Yeah, and on them.
Yeah, and on them.
You don't know what they've been living in or what they've experienced, and it's really nice. And even if actually at the time they might not like it or enjoy it as much, it's just planting the seed, so that maybe in 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, they might think, oh, I remember that. And I remember that was really calm. I remember there was relaxation. And that's something that I need to investigate now. It's just planting the seed now for when it might be needed further down the line. But if they're getting it now, then brilliant. They've got a foundation to start building on for their exams and life stresses. It can be a bumpy ride. So, I think it's the planting the seed as well is really important.
That's it. That's really lovely, actually, because what that's made me think of is, for you, it's not about your success with them. It's not like, oh yeah, I've got 5 people to do yoga, because you're quite happy that you are just literally planting the seed, as you said, and it might be something they come back to in a couple of years. So that's just, I don't know, I just think that's really lovely. And I think to start building the skills at any age, and young people are coping with an awful lot at the moment, and as I keep saying as well, the staff and adults and anyone really. But I do find it really heartening and really interesting that I do think there has been a change, because my youngest is 5, and he regularly does yoga.
Wow.
And he in their PE lessons they did meditation. Brilliant. So he came, because he's gone into year 1, and he came back, it was last week, what did you do in PE today? And he said, we did meditation. And I thought, because obviously he does talk about yoga and meditation because of obviously me do it. But I said, what did you do? And he said, we all lay down on the floor, and then we rolled into balls. Aww. And then we rolled out again. So and then I said, how did you feel afterwards? And he said, I felt really relaxed. Aww. So to have this, I do think, there's so much going on in primary and even early years. I think of learning. I remember with him, it was Sesame Street, do a really great series of monster meditations. Oh, wow. And we used to do, similar to what I was saying about being in the car, when I used to drop him off at nursery and he was anxious and didn't want to go in, we always used to do the monster meditation, and it was 1, 2 and go. So it was about breathing and then preparing yourself, and then you go and do the thing that's worrying you. So I do love that there are a lot of probably younger age that are building these skills from a very early age. But I think it's about probably young people, teenagers, young adults, and then adults also having the opportunity to build those skills.
Teaching is a rewarding profession, but it comes with its fair share of challenges. That's where ADAPT come in. We're not your typical trade union, but instead a modern, apolitical alternative, offering expert legal, employment and mental health support. Protection without the politics. So what makes ADAPT different? We're always apolitical and independent, specialised solely in supporting individual teachers. Our caseworkers are professionally qualified, ensuring you always get the best advice. Plus, there's 24/7 mental health support. Whether it's a simple contract check or handling serious allegations, ADAPT are here for you. Join the thousands of educators who've chosen ADAPT to protect their careers. Subscribe at adapt.org.uk today. ADAPT, supporting school staff, protecting careers.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
The BBC covers reports that Labour has dropped plans to end charitable status for private schools. The status exempts some private schools in England and Wales from taxes. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, had previously said charitable status for private schools could not be justified. The party said it will still remove other tax breaks if it wins the next general election. There are around 2,500 private schools in England and Wales, and government figures show around half are registered as charities. Having charitable status means the schools cannot operate for profit and are eligible to claim some tax exemptions, including on donations and business rates. Since 2006, private schools have had to demonstrate they are creating public benefit in order to maintain their charitable status. Labour has said it would charge private schools 20% VAT and end business rates relief. It says this could raise an estimated £1.7 billion. A party spokesperson said the money would fund desperately needed teachers and mental health counselling in every secondary school. Last year, the Scottish Government scrapped business rate relief for private schools. The Conservatives have questioned whether tax changes would raise the £1.7 billion, as claimed by Labour. The problem of RAAC was highlighted again as parents with children at a secondary school in Durham, affected by the potentially unsafe concrete, staged a protest. Parents told Schools Minister Baroness Barron, who was visiting the school, that there had to be more support for the teachers and pupils and that the school must be rebuilt. The school is using a mix of face-to-face and online teaching after RAAC was found shortly before the return to school from the summer break. The Multi-Academy Trust in charge of the school has asked the DfE if it could use centre-assessed grades for GCSE and A-level pupils, similar to the way assessment was used during the pandemic. A DfE spokesman said it was working to bring back face-to-face teaching quickly and that the school would be rebuilt. Procurement, design and planning stages would be started before the end of the year. Schools Week reports on MPs' comments that government should create a school absence code specifically for mental health and review the adequacy of health services struggling with soaring waiting lists. The Parliamentary Education Committee has also urged the government to make its daily attendance data collection mandatory as soon as possible. The committee found growing demand for mental health services and special educational needs support, as well as the cost of living pressures and other issues, have compounded problems with attendance. However, Schools Minister Nick Gibbs said changes would add further complications for schools in coding absence, which could damage the accuracy of data. Full details of the committee's recommendations can be found in the article in Schools Week online. The Guardian covers news that in America, students at more than 50 high schools across the country are proposing a Green New Deal for schools. They are demanding that their districts teach climate justice, create pathways to green jobs, and plan for climate disasters. The campaign is seen as a reaction to right-wing efforts to ban or suppress climate education and activism at school. The national effort would see teach-ins, walkouts and petitions. The New Deal also calls for updated buildings and infrastructure to make schools more climate resilient. Further details can be found on the Guardian website. Finally, the Nuffield Trust has said that student loans in England should be written off for certain health staff once they have completed 10 years of NHS service. It says this is needed to stop a dropout crisis among nurses, midwives and other frontline staff. Ministers have rejected the idea, saying support is already in place and that the current student finance system strikes the right balance between the interests of students and taxpayers, as well as highlighting training grants, support for childcare and some expenses. Tuition fees are not charged in Scotland, and in Wales, tuition fees are covered if nurses and other frontline staff work for the NHS for 2 years. This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Jo Fox.
So welcome back. And we were just talking, weren't we, before the news? We were talking about the things that you've seen in working with young people and bringing yoga in to to the education setting. Mm-hmm. Shall we carry on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I've said to you before that it is my ultimate wish for the curriculum to add meditation, and I don't want that to be putting anybody off the word meditation, because I think that maybe another misconception is that actually you stop your thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's allowing them to just be, it's allowing yourself space to sit with them and allowing yourself to be the observer so that you can separate yourself. But I feel that it would be so beneficial if every child after registration could just have 5 minutes of just sitting. I know my youngest, when she was in year 4, she had a fantastic teacher. All of her teachers have been fantastic, but this one in particular I loved because she'd been to India and she'd done her yoga teacher training as well. But every morning she had a mantra and she had a projector and it just showed a candle burning, and the children were looking at the candle and focusing, and they were repeating the mantra, which was a non-harm one, so non-harming for yourself, whether that's a harmful thought, non-harming for other people and everyone else around you. But ultimately, you know, I knew that she told me that you could tell the child that had been sitting on the Xbox for 2 hours before school would come in and shaking leg, tapping on the table, being a little bit not comfortable, maybe a little bit disruptive. And then after a few days of doing this meditation, after the registration, they were calm, but they were all at the same energy to then continue with their day. And for me, I would love that to be part of the curriculum, make sure everyone's safe, do your register, and just invite in some conscious breaths or a mantra, but just to allow them to self-soothe before they go ahead with their day, because they might have had a bowl of Cocoa Pops and loads of sugar, so they're really hyped and they've been on the Xbox and they've got to that point to then continue with the day. I think it would be nice to then just bring in some calm, to let them then go ahead. It can still be fun. It can still be very interesting. There's lots of yoga philosophy as well as the health benefits about life choices, etc. But for me, that would be just a wonderful gift to give them. So
and not just them, actually. One of the things he was saying, you know, is that so that they're all in the same state. And I just think, I mean, that's good. That's got to sound very appealing to say to lots of teachers out there. Like you said, if you, especially kind of, well, not just younger ones, you know, teenage, secondary school age. You know, like you said, everybody coming in, and everyone's coming in at all different levels, aren't they? Like you said, there's going to be someone who's had Cocoa Pops and something else for breakfast. There's going to be someone who hasn't had breakfast. There's going to be someone who's been on the Xbox before school. There's going to be someone who's perhaps been on the Xbox all night and hasn't even had enough sleep, let alone if you energy drinks, vapes, you know, all of these things. And then you are going to have the students that are coming in ready to learn. And part of it, isn't it? You always think with when teachers having to manage all these different behaviours and needs and so on, and there is that crucial part, isn't there, that you're going to have, you know, some students in that class that arrive ready to learn, but how much of that time at the start of each lesson is spent with trying to settle everyone and bring that focus and bring them all to the same state. I mean, like you were saying, you could potentially achieve that within a few minutes, and through a simple exercise of, I mean, looking at the candle, I particularly like that image. That's just very soothing, isn't it? But really, I mean, the links that this could have in terms of PSHE and healthy relationships, healthy relationship with yourself. That was something you've just said, isn't it? Kindness to yourself. I agree. I think it should be on everything. I do.
And I think as well, I mean, it's probably a little bit easier. It's the same as, you know, we get up in the morning, we clean our teeth. We get up in the morning, we do the work for ourselves. We find that balance. But to bring it into school, if there isn't an awareness maybe at home, but to have it started at a young age, so maybe at primary school, then to start it there. But equally, like you say, with the teenagers, maybe it's a little bit harder because it's not been intrinsic for their life to that point. But now is the time. Now is the time for change, and there is an awareness about, you know, mindfulness is a very buzzword, consciousness is a very buzzword, and I think now is the time to make change and not necessarily rely on so many industries that aren't able to support now that mental health is a real awareness.
Bringing up mindfulness, that was you're right, it was a bit of a buzzword, wasn't it? And I think that unfortunately, I mean, it ties into everything, doesn't it, that we've been saying, but I do think it got caught up in being a bit of a word and a bit of a trend, and then there was the report came out, wasn't there, that it just wasn't effective in school. But I think from my understanding of it, it was because it was kind of just dropped in. You've got to do mindfulness, and there was very little support in kind of how to actually do that. I think potentially the people that were trying their hardest to deliver it weren't really able to. And so, it's like any well-being strategy. think not just in schools, but in life, isn't it? It's not a standalone.
No.
It's got to be developed as a skill, and time and effort put into it, for it then to have a long-lasting impact.
Yeah.
I think. So I think mindfulness kind of comes into the myths, doesn't it, that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there can be connotations for that, but actually what, the skills and the strategies from yoga that you're talking about can be implemented.
Yeah, absolutely.
And prioritised. Brilliant. Okay, so do you have then? So anyone that's listening and going, okay, I'm sold. I'd like to try this. Then what advice can you bring?
I feel that it would be a wonderful way to bring everybody together by maybe starting class or after registration and set an intention for the day. Some children who may be like a wallflower or maybe quite shy maybe need to have that confidence that everybody can make friends easily. So an intention could be, I make friends easily. And for others who might be quite boisterous or just to bring everybody back to being the same again. Another intention could be, I am kind. An intention for your day, an intention for your class. Maybe they've had a fallout with somebody that they've sat next to. It's just something that might pop into their mind as they continue their class. And also maybe some time after break time as well. If everybody's got hyped up after break time, then maybe just the first class coming back after a break would be just a conscious moment to be with your breath, your meditation. Remember your intention you set at the beginning of the day, or just a moment of breath work. Belly breathing is very good, especially as we're quite anxious and busy. We generally breathe into the upper part of the chest. So it's quite nice to have that awareness that you can breathe into your belly and really make some space for your lungs, and it really energizes you and it feeds so much oxygen into all the cells of the body, feeds your brain. It's a good way to continue with the second half of the day. Or maybe to include a breakfast club yoga or an after-school yoga, and it's community, and it is a way to make new friends. It is a way to build confidence, and especially with teenagers when, we really want to reinforce that body confidence and not be so wary about what people think, what we look like. We can bend over in downward facing dog, and it's absolutely fine because it's a really nice stretch, and it doesn't matter what I look like. I'm being the best version of myself. I'm helping myself. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy, and I want to enjoy my yoga practice.
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking then, so sometimes I think rainy day play or wet day play or whatever people's, I think that's very common. Probably any break and play time. Children, young people do come back in after a break very heightened.
Yeah.
And to have it, I think, like you said, just a few minutes throughout the day, having set your intention and helped everyone reach the same sort of space in the morning, and then just the more you do it, that very rapid bringing you back to, now I'm in a state of calm and ready to engage with learning, all tied into self-esteem and confidence. It's prioritizing yourself, isn't it? So I'm prioritizing my well-being, and I'm prioritizing my learning then, so I'm therefore more able to engage with education. When I don't think it's a big stretch to say that yoga and meditation is going to have an impact on achievement within the classroom. I don't think that's a big stretch. That makes sense to me as a link. And then, like you said, those kind of bringing it in as an after-school activity or a breakfast club is just helping that well-being, isn't it? And similar to, what I've spoken about before in terms of staff well-being, and you want people to leave any stress at the end of the day and don't carry it home with you.
Yeah.
I mean, similarly, if there have been issues at school, whether it's friendship or peer group or bullying or all these things that students and pupils are dealing with, to be able to just, join an after-school yoga club and just relax and have support in doing that would be amazing. No, I just think it's a brilliant. I think it's a brilliant thing.
Who doesn't want a blanket?
Exactly. Who doesn't want a blanket?
Comfort,
Some relaxation and then a little self-confidence boost.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know one of the things as well, when we're talking about doing downward dog and not being self-conscious, and one of the things you do, isn't it, is do them in a circle, so everyone's facing in. And that really, I think that really helps with young people in particular, that you're not, you've got someone behind you. But doing that all as a circle and, and having that focal point in the middle, I think really helps them. All right. So was there any other recommendations that you wanted to bring in?
I guess maybe just to start and just to try and keep it simple, but be consistent and allow yourself just even a couple of minutes, even when it's just when you're boiling the kettle and you're in your break, ready to go back to teach. Just have a conscious moment and breathe with your tea and just take a break.
Teaching is a rewarding profession, but it comes with its fair share of challenges. That's where ADAPT come in. We're not your typical trade union, but instead a modern, apolitical alternative, offering expert legal, employment and mental health support. Protection without the politics. So what makes ADAPT different? We're always apolitical and independent, specialised solely in supporting individual teachers. Our caseworkers are professionally qualified, ensuring you always get the best advice. Plus, there's 24/7 mental health support. Whether it's a simple contract check or handling serious allegations, ADAPT are here for you. Join the thousands of educators who've chosen ADAPT to protect their careers. Subscribe at adapt.org.uk today. ADAPT. Supporting school staff. Protecting careers.
Okay, for the last few minutes of the show, I'm so looking forward to this. It's a real treat. But Zoe is going to do lead a meditation for us, and it is absolutely my hope that people will download this. If you're not able to do it now, if you're listening that I'm not able to do it now, then totally understandable. I mean, you might be driving, listening to us, or listening somewhere else. But I really hope that what you'll have is, you'll have your own meditation. Now, if you download the show, save it, share it, listen back afterwards. But we're going to have a really lovely, just 5 minutes. We'll take 5 minutes of our day to just have a lovely meditation. So thanks so much, Zoe.
Thank you. So welcome to your meditation for anxiety. And let's just begin by either closing the eyes or just softening the gaze. And notice a feeling of grounding with the feet as you press them down into the earth. Maybe noticing the seat bones as they press down into the chair, hands resting palms down onto the thighs. And maybe you feel supported by the back of the chair, or maybe you're sitting on the ground or standing. Just notice that strength and that length in the spine, but simultaneously notice a softness into the belly. And now just take a moment to notice what you're bringing to your meditation today. Notice any thoughts that might be arising. Noticing any feelings that you might be experiencing. And allow yourself to take this time to practice being a witness of those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, and knowing that you are separate to all of these. And so now bring your awareness to your breath, closing the lips if they're not already, and continue to breathe in and out of the nostrils. As you breathe in, just send the breath into the belly if you can, noticing the expansion of the belly, the ribs, collarbones lifting. And then on the exhale, reversing the order, the collarbones fall, the ribs fall, and softly drawing the belly button down towards the spine. And again, if any other thoughts arise, draw your attention again back to the physical sensations that the breath brings. And I invite you to, with your next inhale, imagine that you are breathing in joy and new life. Experience this feeling. And then as you exhale, release any feelings of dread or worry. Let all fears fade away. Inhale feelings of calm and peace. And exhale anything that no longer serves you. And be aware that in this moment, you are becoming more and more relaxed. Breathe in another natural breath deep into the belly and imagine a bright, joyful future lies ahead for you. And as you exhale all feelings of anxiety, imposter syndrome, any fears, just release those and let them fade away. And here you begin to notice a lightness in the shoulders, a lightness in the belly. Release all tension as you relax, relax, relax. Each time you breathe in, you are breathing in new and fresh energy. And each time you breathe out, you feel more calm and serene. Staying with the breath. You deserve so much love and so much peace. And so now we begin to deepen the breath as our calming meditation draws to an end. Repeat to yourself silently, I am here in the present moment. And now imagine this feeling of peace extending to your family, your friends, your county, your country, and far beyond. And so when you're ready, open your eyes and come back fully alert as we continue our day. And remember that we can use our breath as a tool to bring us back to the present moment at any time. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Zoe. Well, if anyone's still with us, that was 5 minutes, and I know that I feel so much better for it. So yeah, basically, I think we're just saying it's not hard to do, is it? It's not hard to do. But those words, I was thinking as I was listening, those words, we went from anxiety, imposter syndrome, stress, all things that I know a lot of people are feeling. Imposter syndrome resonates highly, I think, with a lot of people as well at the moment. Yeah. And then what we've then moved to is serene, calm, peace, love, and who wouldn't want that?
Exactly.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you so much, Zoe, for your time. Thank you for that beautiful meditation. And if anyone, is now like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to do this. I want to try this. I want to bring this in. Then you know where I am on Twitter, and I'm sure Zoe would love to help as well. But yeah, we're here if anyone wants any advice of bringing these strategies in, or even just giving it a go. But yeah, and I wish all of you a really lovely rest of the day.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.